what is the action, right? Being clear when you leave a meeting or conversation on either side, what is the action? Thank you for joining us for our networking and mentoring series, where we hope you've learned a little bit. We started at the top of the series with some sort of broader topics and introduction into the two areas of focus, and then diving a little deeper into each one with stories and recommendations and really our experience in those two areas. And we wanted to close everything out today with really kind of call to action, what to think about if you are approaching either one of these, either networking or mentoring situations, or really looking to dive into them and using your time wisely. So we're going to cover off a few things today with my friend Esco here. Heidi, so let's talk about two key things: what you need, and then what you need to know about yourself for both of these. And I think we kind of wrap this up in a nice bow. So let's dive into networking first. Eska, what do you think is sort of either tools or tricks or understanding when you think about going into a networking situation?
The whole purpose of this is hopefully providing some feedback for others so they don't make the same mistake that I made. And from a networking perspective, just the simple action of going into a room, breaking the ice, and introducing yourself to somebody scares the whatever out of me. And that's okay. But to kind of compensate for that, what I would say is for networking is know how to introduce yourself in like 3 sentences max, and make sure that it's memorable and make sure that it's rehearsed so that way it doesn't seem like you're stammering as you're going through it. And then also set your goals as such that they're palatable. I walk into a room, I'm going to commit to introducing myself to X amount of people, and that's okay. And you'll get better at it. It'll get more, it'll get easier as you go through it. And then, of course, and I said this in the previous video, ask them about themselves. They are there to do the same thing, and hopefully they're their favorite person to talk about. And so it should be just kind of pull stuff out of them, get them talking about themselves. So for networking, those are kind of my 3 things that I would, kind of focus on.
I absolutely agree. And especially sort of what you always call it your vamp. And I love that because it actually kind of gives me a little grit behind your elevator speech or your introduction, right? I do. I love it. So I'm like, I'm going to vamp, talk to my 16-year-old. She looks look at me like I'm crazy, but I love it. And I would totally echo stealing from you. That is sort of the number one thing. And practicing it so it doesn't sound rehearsed. Where I would add to that when you talk about asking somebody about themselves, I actually like to start with that because it gives me a moment to honestly sometimes even catch my breath and to think and to listen first, because I love having something to react to. For me, for networking, that is a more natural way into the conversation for me. So I that is sort of my defense mechanism. Right. And I love talking to people I've never met before, but I try and get sort of ahead of the conversation and make the first ask and the first question, because then that allows me to kind of settle in, if that makes any sense.
Get used
So
to their flow, basically. Get used to their flow. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Because then that puts them at ease, right? I can easily fit into a situation or a conversation. I can adapt. That's just sort of one of the things that I do. And so if I'm able to hear what that person brings to the table first, that helps me. So
So let me
with
spin the
that.
table on you. What do we do for mentoring? What do I need for mentoring?
Mentoring. Gosh, I love that. It's such an important part of creating a fulfilling career for me. And I think that, we've talked a lot of in the previous sort of even 3 videos here that there's so many layers and aspects and things you do throughout your whole career for mentoring. But I think it's so important to understand where you currently are in your career and what you need, right? So we were talking about mentoring being an opportunity to, kind of have that session where I need to learn a specific skill set, whether it's a technical skill, whether it's a soft skill or more professional. But if I'm clear going into that, I know what to ask for. So I think getting into a mentoring relationship, whether frankly you're the mentee or the mentor, is very important to understand what you are asking the other person for. Because again, we're all so busy, we all have so much time. It doesn't mean that it's harsh or cold, but if we know going in what we're asking for, if I'm mentoring somebody, I want to know certain things either about them or where they are in their career, what they want to get out of it. And if I'm the mentee, it's something, very similar. What
Yeah.
about you?
Ah, from a mentoring perspective, I like building the bridge to the next one. I see mentoring or taking the mentoring session, especially if I'm the mentee, and kind of playing the sales call game. And what it is introducing myself. Here's where I'm at. And here's what I want to do. Again, back to your point, hey, you got to know what you want. And then who should I visit with? Now, the reason that's important, because that sounds like networking, but the reason that's important to do that with your mentor is you can come back to that in the second mentoring session and go, hey, here was the homework you gave me. I actually talked to 2 out of the 3 people, and here's what they came back with. And that I liked that because, and then now you're starting to associate that thing. And then the great thing about that kind of mantra or flow is that then you go, okay, cool. I'll visit with that person that I didn't get a chance to talk with. Give me 2 more people that I should talk with based on where you think this is going. So you're actually taking something from that mentor and using their knowledge, kind of fluffing their pillow, hey, I appreciate your knowledge. Now, by the same token, I would actually make sure that I'm doing that if I am the mentor and I'm talking to my mentee. Hey, we talked about this last time. Where are you at? But again, at the end of the day, and keep in mind, I'm the sales guy, not the marketing person. It's a sales call. It literally is a sales call. Hey, I am, based on our conversation, you need, and just keep doing that over and over. That's, to me, how I would use it. And I know it sounds cheeky, but it is. It's a sales call.
Yeah. And I take it as that and then other, parts of the relationship building. And I just want to add on something that you said and pick up on that. What is the action? Right? Being clear when you leave a meeting or conversation on either side, what is the action? Right? So much about mentoring is having an accountability partner.
Yep.
And so there's got to be something that comes of it. Now, whether it's a literal action or be thinking about this and we'll talk about it next time or something, whatever that is, I think action is important. All right. Thank you. I can't believe we're wrapping up this one. There's so many things that we could talk about with networking and mentoring as topics, but I think, the speed and the snippets are important. We're always happy to, if you have any further conversations or questions or whatever, drop us a little comment or something, because that's going to be important. We can pick it up in the next time.
If you missed any of our sessions, if you missed any of our previous ones, we did resume versus LinkedIn, and we're going to be covering my brand versus my job. So we're planning on building. This is kind of the format. Let us know what you think about the format. And Lisa, I cut you off. I wanted to make sure we plugged.
Yeah.
Some of our other stuff.
I love it. Always a pleasure, Esco. We've known each other for a long time, and we got a lot more conversation to say. Thank you very much.
Looking forward to it. Bye, everybody.